Yo, what's going on, guys? Another little video here. There's some news about Battlefield, new Battlefield game. I don't know if this actually says anything about it or shows anything, so we might have to check. Why don't we just check? We'll watch this, but then we'll check the EA page as well.
Full interview with franchise head Vince Zampella was released on IGN, detailing the project and confirming that this next Battlefield game will take place in a modern theater of war. Let's get into the rest of the details. So this is our only concept image of the next Battlefield game.
Level Cap Gaming, guys, go give them a sub.
Concept art, so it's not an in-game screenshot or anything like that, but given the similarities of past Battlefield concepts and the in-game locations, it's probably not far off of what we can expect. The location looks like a city on the Mediterranean Sea. The hills are on fire, buildings are leveled, and there's lots of smoke and fire in the distance. You can see several Apache helicopters and a bunch of naval ships, indicating that probably air and maybe even sea combat will be available. DICE do tend to be very deliberate when it comes to marketing for their games, so this concept art likely isn't just a random image released on a whim. There's a good chance it's been meticulously crafted to ensure that we get a sense of what DICE are doing or planning.
Well, this guy
not quite enough detail to know exactly what. For example, do the hills on fire represent an advanced fire system where maps can burn and evolve? I don't know, but it's certainly something to speculate about. Now, Zampella didn't directly address the concept art, but he does say all the right things for veteran Battlefield players, starting off by saying that the peak of the franchise is Battlefield 3 and 4 with their modern settings, and that they're following in those footsteps. Classes are coming back, and specialists are out, and the game will likely be built around 64-player modes. And to give a little bit of insight into the learning process, Vince had this quote. He says, "Yeah, the 128 players, did it make it fun? Like, doing the number for the sake of the number doesn't really make any sense.
The hell is his build?
Around what's the most fun. So, like you said, the maps, once they get to a certain scale, become different. It's a different play space, and you have to design around that. So, we're designing something that is more akin to the previous Battlefields. I'd rather have nice, dense, really nice, well-designed play spaces. Some of them are really good, and I can't wait for you to see some of them." He then goes on to very clearly state that specialists will not be coming back and that classes are the core of Battlefield, which, you know, is a very crowd cheer statement for the fan base, but it's also an extremely obvious thing to say. I personally find it a little bit hard to applaud somebody stating the obvious. Not that it's not nice to hear, but I'm not quite ready to celebrate somebody understanding the basics of what makes a Battlefield game. Now, it does sound like this game is still going to be the foundation for a much larger Battlefield universe of content. EA CEO Andrew Wilson has called the upcoming game one of the most ambitious projects in EA's history.
Steak and mushy pie and pasty for tea.
Oh, nice.
Betting bigger on Battlefield.
Very nice.
It's going in and expanding what Battlefield is. But he also says that we have the core. The core Battlefield players know.
I got some wings and pizza.
They've been with us forever. They've been amazing supporters.
My food for the rest of the week.
We need to earn their trust back and get them back on our side. And then it's expanding out and getting more players into the universe and seeing what we can do, so that when you want a different experience, you don't have to leave Battlefield.
But you know how he just said, oh shit, wrong screen. Wrong screen.
Oh, noise.
You know how he just said, oh, this is revolutionary, this is going to be great for the game. Didn't they say that about the latest Battlefield? And then it came out and it was dog shit. Alright, let's go back to the video. Just let that sink in. They said the same thing.
Where the KFC at?
So it more or less sounds like the upcoming game's
no afterpay for KFC.
Back to the basics of modern military Battlefield in the vein of BF3 and BF4, with likely
afterpay. You pay in a fortnight instead of paying straight away.
Extraction or Royale mode, and
which is cool.
Who knows what else beyond that. As for competing with rival franchise Call of Duty, you know, the franchise that Vince Zampella himself created, He says the goal isn't to directly compete, which should more or less be obvious at this point. He said that they're making something different than Call of Duty, but that there's definitely a possibility it could outsell their rivals this time around. Some publishers got any sort of cross-media content like shows or movies being tied to...
We might outsell our rivals. Call of Duty. Wow. Oh my goodness. This guy's delusional.
Why has my 140 not counted?
Is to get a good game out there first and foremost. And of course, one of the biggest questions is...
Yeah, one of mine hasn't counted as well. I'm going to have to go through and tell them.
The game went into full production earlier this year, and that they'll be announcing a program next year to get the Battlefield community more involved with the game. Basically, some sort of...
A few of mine haven't counted as well.
One would hope. And it's hard to know whether or not this means that the game is on track for a 2025 holiday release. If they pushed it back to 2026, it would be an extremely large window between Battlefield title releases, so I'm hoping for 2025 holiday. But
Residence level 60 should be 4 as well.
So
Residence level 100 should be 3 or 4.
This interview was Zampella.
Can't remember how many we've got.
I'm like 1 day away from 160.
140 isn't on there.
To turn the game around, he says we want it to be good out of the gate, which I mean is a sentiment
Purchase
that I think
premium
every
Gazette.
game developer in the world
I think I've done that
shares.
twice.
And poor Vince wasn't working on this IP back when Battlefield 5 made a disastrous launch, and then EA doubled
Yeah, a couple
down
aren't
and said that
counting.
2042 would
I think
learning
Wildy's
from
over
their
60.
past mistakes.
I'm
And
over
then they
60
did
on
even
2
worse.
accounts, and you're over 60.
When
So
Vince
that's 4.
once again echoes what has been falsely promised by EA before, it doesn't necessarily mean the same thing because it is Vince saying it after all. But again, anyone would be foolish to just believe promises at this point.
I have done all but 160 ATM.
Be the biggest and best Battlefield of all time. I mean, why wouldn't that?
Nah, there's
It's
180.
just a question of whether or not they know how to actually execute on that. But
100, 140, 180.
One hell of a good bet, I'd say. This time around, though, the next Battlefield game is going to be facing some stiff competition from titles like Delta Force, offering a free-to-play alternative. Not to mention the new plethora of modern military shooters that have sprung up since the Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4 era to capture a lot of that FPS market. But if DICE can deliver a game that feels like BF3 and BF4 but in a more modern package, I don't think they'll have a hard time swaying fans back to the franchise. Now, personally, I'm feeling cautiously optimistic, and I don't think that's going to change until they actually get hands on the game. But a Battlefield game throwing
Late 2025 is just GTA 6-time Battlefield has no chance.
certainly an exciting prospect. As long as a good chunk of
Okay,
it is
well then I'm probably 4 or 5 days from that.
Yeah, nah, that's all good. We still got 18 days or something.
Even the beyond Battlefield experiences are something that I'm interested in. I still think Firestorm is one of the best battle royales out there that just never really got a chance to
15
shine.
days
But
left.
what do you guys think about all this hubbub? Is it getting you hyped up, or have you been burned one too many times from the promises of DICE and EA? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave me a like, subscribe for more content like it, and ding that notification bell to beat the YouTube algorithm with me. Next up, check out this video where I break down my favorite Battlefield titles all the way back to the original game in the franchise. Check it out, and as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap.
Where is the... Where's the Battlefield videos, man? Ah.
This is insane. On a random Monday in September of 2024, EA and IGN have just announced the new Battlefield game. This is legit. This is real. Concept art from the game here. That's modern day. That is a modern day setting right there. Not sure about this location. I mean, there was no indication this was coming at all. So let's get into it. Exclusive. Vince Zampella confirms the next Battlefield will use modern setting. First concept art revealed. We get our first glimpse of EA's big Battlefield revival and learn more about how it's heading back to basics. Ahead of its Investor Day on September 17th, EA revealed fresh details on its untitled Battlefield game alongside its first official concept art, which IGN can exclusively reveal for the first time. IGN can also confirm that Battlefield will be returning to a modern setting after I'm smiling, man. After stints in World War I, World War II in the near future. While EA is cagey about specifics when it comes to the concept art, including declining to name of the city where it's set, although it looks like Italy or somewhere else in Europe, it does include details that should stand out to longtime fans of the series. Among other things, it appears to suggest that ship-to-ship and helicopter combat will be a part of the new game, and that it will feature natural disasters like wildfires.
Damn.
Its colour scheme is evocative of BF4, which remains one of the most popular games in the series despite being released a decade ago. So we've got a ship there, some kind of big attack boat maybe. Where the helicopter? Oh yeah, Apache helicopters, attack helicopters. I didn't even notice those, man. Here's the fire over there. All of it points to a back-to-basics approach for the next Battlefield. Indeed, head of Respawn and Group GM for EA Studios organization, Vince Zampella is quick to shout out BF3 and 4 in the course of sitting down with IGN to talk about these new reveals. On the decision to return to the modern era, Zampella says, I mean, if you look back to the peak or the pinnacle of Battlefield, it's that Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4 era where everything was modern, and I think we have to get back to the core of what Battlefield is and do that amazingly well, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But I think for me, it's that peak of Battlefield-ness is in that BF3 and 4 days, so I think it's nostalgic for players. For me, the teams even, those are kind of the heyday, although I would say 1942 also. Yeah, I was playing 1942 when I was a stupid 12-year-old or something like that. The return of the modern setting represents a course correction for the series after BF 2042, which eventually found its footing but was otherwise widely panned for features like specialists, characters that made it seem as if Battlefield was trying to be a hero shooter. Its ambitious 128-player maps also proved unpopular with the fans who preferred a more experience. BF 2042 eventually went back to supporting 64 players per map, and the next Battlefield plans to stick to that approach. I'd rather have
Pizza Hut.
Really nice, well-designed
One job.
places. Some of them are really good.
One job, mate.
28 player, did it make it more fun?
Oh, damn.
Like doing the number for the sake of the number doesn't make any sense. We're testing everything around what's the most fun. So like you said, the maps, once they get to a certain scale, become different. It's a different play space, and I think you have to design around that. So we're designing something that's more akin to previous Battlefields.
One job.
Zampella says, I'd rather have nice, dense, really nice, well-designed play spaces. Some of them are really good. I can't wait for you to see some of them. Okay, so maybe more of a focus on map design this time than giant maps. 64 players is going to be the main game mode, it sounds like. Specialists are also out this time around. So I wasn't there for 2042. I don't know what the rationale is, but for me, it's like the team trying something new. You have to applaud that effort. Not everybody liked it, but you got to try things. It didn't work, it didn't fit. Specialists will not be coming back. So classes are kind of at the core of Battlefield, and we're going back to that. He's careful to stress that 2042 wasn't a failure of a game, despite not doing as well as he hoped. He notes that the development team really spent a lot of time learning how to adapt it and getting things back. Still, he says EA doesn't want a repeat of the experience it had with 2042. We want it to be good out of the gate. It adds up to what one might call classic Battlefield, but bigger. Big enough that it merits the efforts of 4 separate studios in DICE, Motive, Ripple Effect and Criterion. Ridgeline Games was briefly part of its development before being shuttered after founder Marcus Leto's departure. EA CEO Andrew Wilson claims it's one of the most ambitious projects in history. That's just from the earnest call, that's old. Nevertheless, Zampella remains vague on what all of that actually entails, yet it's definitely betting bigger on Battlefield. It's going in and expanding what Battlefield is. We have to have the core Battlefield players know that they want. They've been with us forever, they've been amazing supporters, we need to earn their trust back and get them back on our side. And then it's expanding out and getting more players into the universe and seeing what we can do. So when you want a different experience, you don't have to leave Battlefield. You can experience more things within the Battlefield universe. So we're expanding the offerings that we're giving. So I think that's alluding to stuff like campaign. They've talked about that. Some kind of experience that Ripple Effect to make it.
Gotta be BR.
Logically, that's going to be a battle royale. Portal, maybe some kind of expansion there too, and then your traditional multiplayer. The road ahead for Battlefield. In the meantime, Activision Blizzard is planning to release Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Battlefield's traditional competitor. Not for the last few years. Where Battlefield has stumbled, Call of Duty has largely continued to thrive. It begs the question, will Battlefield ever outsell Call of Duty? Oh, if you look at the best Battlefields have outsold some Call of Duties and other way around, back and forth. So I think absolutely it can, Zempella says. No, while sales data is incomplete, the publicly available data for even weaker releases like Infinite Warfare has typically favoured Call of Duty. I mean, is that what we're going for? I mean, not directly, but always. We're not looking to take down Call of Duty. We're making something that's different, and we're making something that's us, but yeah, it definitely has the possibility. Okay.
Not different.
Strong words from Vince there.
You're going back.
On the subject of
Not
pushing
different.
into the transmedia space where franchises like The Last of Us and Fallout have thrived, the latter taking home an Emmy Award over the weekend, Zampella demurs. There are definitely opportunities there. We've had some discussions, but it's not our core business. To me, that stuff when it works is super cool, like Arcane was great, but there's other ones that haven't worked as well, and I won't name those, but you know what they are. He says it's a marketing opportunity of getting your franchise out there, and it's not core to what we're doing right now. So we are first. That has to work, and if the right opportunity comes, absolutely, we'll look at it. And do we take meetings all the time? Sure, but it's not the core business, so it's that balance. I would love to see it right now. We're not looking at anything like that for Battlefield, so no kind of TV show, movie coming up. In the near future, it seems, not in the pipeline anyway. It's unclear when the next Battlefield will release, but there are signs that EA is ramping up for 2025, having entered full production earlier this year. According to Zampella, EA is playtesting the game every week and plans to launch a community program next year, although it's unclear if it's a closed beta or something else. So I think EA CEO Andy Wilson said fiscal year 25, so probably October, November next year. We have a program that we're going to announce next year around getting more community in. Is this like CTE maybe, or public beta? Because that's kind of the core of what we have to do, get the community back on our side, get that trust back, he says. So I think we're in a really good place. Is it challenging? Of course, but it wouldn't be fun if it wasn't. Whenever Battlefield eventually releases, it's a big test for the series, which has a lot to prove to fans after close to a decade since its last really successful entry. It'll be entering an unsettled console landscape, with Sony announcing the PS5 Pro last week. Rumours of a next-gen Xbox and Nintendo expected to announce the Switch 2 soon. Zampella is
PlayStation Pro? Come
both
on,
the
man.
PS5 Pro and the unannounced Switch 2.
Come on.
Though he has some kind words for Nintendo in particular. I mean, since Switch 2 isn't announced and it doesn't exist, I can't really comment on that. I bet they've got a prototype or a dev version of it. But I would say absolutely, Nintendo along with Microsoft and Sony are great partners for us, are important to us on our business at EA, at Respawn.
What?
We'd love to see it. Zampella says, we don't have anything to announce.
Battlefield on Nintendo?
Is there a world?
It
Sure.
isn't.
We love them as partners. They've been great to us. I love the Switch. So maybe Battlefield on Nintendo Switch 2. If the hardware's good enough, if it's
Right.
there, we'll have to see. That'd be cool for Switch players. One way or another, EA is betting a huge amount of time, money, and manpower on the idea that the multiplayer shooter space is ready for a shake-up. As for whether that bet will pay off, it sounds like we'll know sooner rather than later. And this article was by Kat Bailey at IGN. Okay,
That's
there
it, just a
is.
picture.
I mean, look at this. That's crazy. Just
A brand new Battlefield game is coming soon. What you're seeing on your screen right now is Battlefield 2042 gameplay. If you guys remember that disaster, it very much divided the Battlefield community. Some people liked 128-player Battlefields with specialists, and some people just wanted to play 64-player stuff. But if you're a big fan of Battlefield 3 or Battlefield 4, and you've been waiting for something like that to come back, then I think that you're really going to be happy with this information. So let's get into it. This information is from an IGN article. It was an exclusive interview with Vince Zampella. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with him, quite some time ago, he was the studio head for Infinity Ward and helped the development of Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, the original, as well as Modern Warfare 2, and then he moved on to form Respawn Entertainment. They made Titanfall and Titanfall 2, as well as Apex Legends. And to me personally, that makes this article vastly more interesting because Vince Zampella, he's basically the GOAT. He's helped create so many incredible video games over his entire career, and if he's out here offering a helping hand to DICE, and if he's going to help shape the future of the next Battlefield game, then I would say that it should be looking pretty good. So in this article, it says, exclusive, Vince Zampella confirms that next Battlefield will use modern setting, and they show the first concept art. Here, it says we get our first glimpse of...
Yeah, where's that? Alright, what do you think, guys? Tell me in the comments. Is there any way back for Battlefield, or is it all over? Tell me in the comments. I wanna know. I wanna know. I wanna know. Alright, what are we doing? Xbox. But yeah, that's it. That's another video. Got to post a couple up. Love you. Bye bye.